Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to Courage to Overcome, a podcast that deals with managing relationships with toxic people from a biblical point of view. If you're new here, this is a safe place where we talk honestly about toxic relationships, healing, and finding our way back to wholeness through faith. So, in my earlier episode, I talked about the narcissist revenge, a dish best served cold. I explained what it is, why it happens, and how to deal with it wisely. Today, I want to talk about my own experience with a narcissist and his revenge, but it will be slightly different than what I spoke about because my experience wasn't towards the end of a relationship, but it was at the beginning. So, when I first met the person who would later be my husband, we were just friends, even though he wanted more than that. This was all before I became a Christian. He wanted to date me, but I wasn't interested in that at all. Maybe it was women's intuition or a feeling in my gut that said, you need to be careful with this dude, something like that. He was quite charming, attractive, got on very well with my family, but I just didn't want to go out with him at all. Just something about him that I just didn't want to go out with him. There was someone I started dating later on, which lasted about a year. Meanwhile, I'll call him Max. Max was still my friend. He would come to my house almost every day after work to spend time with me and my family. I met some other guy who was quite interested in me. He invited me to come and see him in university at the time. When I went to see him, he was sharing a room with another student, and that person had company also, some other guys. So I was there visiting this guy who was interested in me. We were just chatting and just engaging in banter. He offered me a few refreshments. He had a fridge in his room and some snacks. And we're just having a really good time. Then afterwards, after a while, I decided to leave. I said goodbye to his roommate and his friends, and then the guy escorted me out and I got a cab home. During that same week, Max came to my house and started to accuse me of going to some other guy's room, and I was making out with him while others were watching, and I was so upset because that was not at all what happened. I would never do anything like that with his roommate and friends watching. I do have some dignity. I'm not that kind of person. And I told him that. So this what I'm describing happened years and years ago, okay? Many years ago. And then I said to Max, who told you that? Are your friends following me? And he said that he knows a person that is in the same uni as the person that I went to visit. And that person told him. So that was quite weird, So I told him, well, your friend is a liar because that's not what happened. But then I accused him and I said, what does it matter to you what I'm doing? We're not dating or anything. What have you been telling your friends about our relationship? Because we're just friends. And so Max became really defensive and said that, he was just trying to protect me, as he just didn't want me to be one of these promiscuous girls, and he didn't want me to be the laughing stock and all that. And I told him it was really none of his or his friends' business what I do, and his friends are not good people if they can lie about me like that. In hindsight now, I believe they weren't lying. He was the one lying, because that's what narcissists do. They're prolific liars, pathological liars, and they always like to embellish and exaggerate stories. Anyway, I ended up going on a few dates with this guy, but nothing further happened after that. I just, broke it up with him. So fast forward, maybe a year later, I finally started dating Max, and it was going well. It was my birthday, and Max suggested I come to his place. He was going to take me out for dinner. He was self-employed at the time, was working from home. So It was in the afternoon, so I came down to his place and I met another woman there. She was sitting in the living room. She seemed to be a much older person, and Max introduced her to me as an associate who was helping with him with his work. So we were both sitting in the living room and we were just talking. And then she stood up and said, oh, she needed to change, as they were apparently they had a work event or something they were preparing. So she went into his bedroom, and then a moment later he followed her into his bedroom while she was changing. And I thought, hold on a minute, why is my boyfriend in his, well, obviously he can go into his bedroom, but while she's changing, what's going on here? You know, we're boyfriend and girlfriend, and he was in his bedroom with his associate while she was changing. Remember, this was my birthday, and he was supposed to take me out and, you know, just to celebrate my birthday. I don't know what was going on, but I wasn't waiting to find out. I was really confused as to what to do. I was not going to go in there and confront them as to what was going on. That was not me at all. I'm not going to fight with anyone. I decided I was going to leave there and then. When I got home, I was in floods of tears because, you know, the impression that he gave me was that we were gonna celebrate my birthday. It was my birthday. We were gonna go out for dinner. We were gonna have a good time and everything. And, you know, he behaved in such a horrible and ghastly way. And my aunt, who was in my home at the time, my aunt asked me what happened, and I explained the whole situation to her. Much later on in the evening, Max came to my house with flowers and a birthday card and was very apologetic. And he said there was nothing going on between him and the associate, because I accused him and said, look, what's going on? You know, I wanted an explanation. And he said there was nothing going on. But I found out later on that there had been previously, before we had started going out, there was something, they had a thing. So my aunt gave him a piece of her mind, really told him off. Long and short of it, I forgave him and we moved on. And I think about a year later, we got married. Now, looking back on it, this was his revenge. His revenge for not dating him and dating other people instead of him. Yeah, that's the way it looked to me, which is, you know, I don't know, I can't really say anything about it, but the moral of the story, lessons learned, well, I'll tell you about that in my next episode. And I'll tell you about the red flags when dating and what to avoid. So stay tuned, stay safe, and God bless.